Commander Ethan Morris looked out at the stars from the observation deck of Celestial Station, the massive space structure that served as the headquarters for the Galactic Alliance. 50 years had passed since humans first made contact with alien life, and sometimes he still couldn't believe he was here, surrounded by beings from 7 different worlds. A soft chime from his wrist device interrupted his thoughts. The Alliance Council meeting would begin in 10 minutes. As Earth's military liaison, his presence was required, though he rarely had much to contribute. The Alliance, particularly the Thoraxi, made sure of that. Ethan straightened his blue uniform jacket and made his way through the curved hallways of the station. Aliens of various shapes and sizes moved past him. Some nodded in greeting while others ignored him completely. He had learned to read most of their body language over the years. The way the four-armed Ilthiri tucked their lower limbs close to their bodies when humans approached. The slight dimming of the meridian's bioluminescent patterns when they felt threatened or suspicious, and the Thoraxi, the way they always seemed to stand just a little taller when humans entered the room. The council chamber doors slid open as Ethan approached. Inside, representatives from all 7 Alliance species sat in a semicircle. The human seat, occupied today by Ambassador Gregory Pearson, was positioned at the far end. The newest member, the least important. Ethan took his place standing behind the ambassador and glanced around the room. Something felt different today. The Thoraxi delegation was larger than usual, and Ambassador Zorak, their lead representative, seemed tense even by Thoraxi standards. This emergency session of the Alliance Council is now in session, announced the Vox chairperson, her translator converting her musical tones into flat English. Ambassador Zorak has requested immediate attention to a matter of grave concern. Zorak rose to his full height of nearly 8 feet, his gray-scaled skin catching the light. 4 yellow eyes focused on the human delegation. The Thoraxi Empire brings evidence of treaty violations by the human government, he said, his voice deep and deliberate. Our long-range sensors have detected advanced fusion technology development at multiple facilities on Earth and Mars. This technology far exceeds the limitations established in the Treaty of Luna. A murmur went through the chamber. Ethan kept his face carefully neutral, though his heart rate increased. The research Zorak referred to wasn't military in nature. It was intended for faster civilian ships. But the Thoraxi had always interpreted the treaty in the strictest possible terms. Ambassador Pearson leaned forward. The research conducted at those facilities is well within the parameters of... We have images, Zorak interrupted, waving a clawed hand. A holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber, showing orbital views of research stations in Nevada and the Hellas Basin on Mars. These facilities have energy signatures consistent with weapons research. This is merely the latest in a pattern of human attempts to circumvent the treaty. Ethan fought to keep his expression neutral. The Treaty of Luna, signed when Earth joined. The Alliance had strict limitations on human military development. No warships, no weapons beyond a certain destructive threshold. The official reason was to maintain peace and prevent destabilizing arms races. The unofficial reason, as most humans saw it, was to keep humanity dependent and weak. These are civilian research facilities, Ambassador Pearson said firmly. The energy signatures you're detecting relate to improved propulsion systems for colony ships. Zorak's upper eyes narrowed. Our analysis suggests otherwise. The Alliance cannot risk allowing humans to develop military technology that threatens galactic peace. The Vox chairperson tilted her elongated head. What do you propose, Ambassador Zorak? The Thoraxi Empire, with the support of the Krell hierarchy, demands that all human research facilities working on advanced energy systems be dismantled within 6 months. Additionally, we request Alliance inspectors be granted full access to all human scientific installations to verify compliance. Ambassador Pearson stood up so quickly, his chair scraped against the floor. This is outrageous. Earth has complied with every provision of the treaty for 50 years. These demands amount to a violation of our sovereignty. Would you prefer sanctions? Zorak asked, his tone almost pleasant. Or perhaps a more direct intervention to ensure compliance? The threat hung in the air. Ethan's hand tightened on the back of the ambassador's chair. The council will deliberate on this matter, the Vox chairperson said after a long pause. All evidence will be reviewed. We will reconvene tomorrow. As the meeting adjourned, Ethan followed Ambassador Pearson into a private chamber off the main hall. This is bad, Pearson said once the door closed behind them. Very bad. The Thoraxi have been looking for an excuse like this for years. Sir, those facilities aren't developing weapons, Ethan said. I've reviewed the research myself. It doesn't matter. The Thoraxi control 3 votes on the council. They only need 1 more to approve their demands. Pearson ran a hand through his gray hair. Get in touch with Earth. The president needs to know immediately. Later that night, alone in his quarters, Ethan encrypted a message not to the president, but to Admiral Catherine Reeves, head of Earth's Naval Intelligence Division. Catherine was an old friend. They had served together before Ethan took the diplomatic post. Catherine, the Thoraxi made their move today. I think this goes beyond the usual treaty enforcement. Something bigger is happening. They're focused on the Nevada and Hellas facilities, but they didn't mention anything about the Jupiter moons. Maybe they don't know. Call me paranoid, but I think they're preparing for something. Watch your back and watch Project Nightingale. He hesitated before sending the message. Mentioning Project Nightingale in any communication was risky, even encrypted. But Catherine needed to know the Thoraxi might be closing in. Ethan sent the message, then deleted all traces of it from his device. 3 days later, the council voted 4-3 to approve the Thoraxi demands. Earth was given 6 months to dismantle its advanced research facilities and submit to Alliance inspections. As Ethan watched Ambassador Pearson publicly accept the council's decision with diplomatic politeness, his secure device vibrated. A message from Catherine Reeves. Understood. Nightingale accelerating. Need you to find out what they really know. That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He returned to the observation deck, watching the stars and the blue-green curve of the artificial world that housed the Alliance headquarters. Trouble sleeping, Commander Morris? A soft voice asked. Ethan turned to find Dr. Olivia Sutton, one of the human xenopolitical analysts stationed on Celestial. Her red hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and she looked as tired as he felt. Just thinking, he replied. About the ultimatum? She moved to stand beside him at the viewport. It doesn't make sense. The Thoraxi have never been friendly to humans, but this level of aggression is new. You've noticed it too, then? She nodded. I've been tracking Thoraxi fleet movements for the past 6 months. They're repositioning ships throughout Alliance space, particularly near human colonies. They claim they're just running exercises. Ethan felt a chill. You think they're preparing for military action? I think, she said carefully, that humans aren't the only ones who might be violating the Treaty of Luna. She slipped a data chip into his hand. You didn't get this from me. As she walked away, Ethan closed his fingers around the chip. Whatever game the Thoraxi were playing, humanity would need to be ready. And despite what the Thoraxi believed, humans were very good at preparing for the worst. Deep in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, in a hollowed-out space inside a nondescript rock officially designated as Mining Operation 37, Admiral Catherine Reeves reviewed Ethan's message for the 5th time. Then she looked up at the massive shape taking form in the hidden shipyard before her. Captain, she called to the officer standing nearby. How soon can the Defiance be ready for her first trial run? 3 months, Admiral. Maybe less if we push it. Catherine nodded. Push it, I think we just ran out of time. Lieutenant Amanda Hayes stared out the shuttle window as Ceres Station grew larger against the backdrop of space. The massive asteroid base appeared ordinary from the outside, just another mining and research outpost in the belt between Mars and Jupiter. Officially, she was being transferred here to work on civilian transport logistics. The orders in her file were clear and boring. The unofficial orders, delivered by a naval intelligence officer in person 3 days ago, were something else entirely. Approaching Docking Bay 7, the pilot announced. Please prepare for arrival. Procedures. Amanda gathered her few belongings. After 5 years in Earth Space Forces, she had learned to travel light. She smoothed down her uniform, civilian clothes with subtle military touches that wouldn't draw attention, and waited for the shuttle to dock. A tall man with short brown hair and serious eyes met her at the airlock. He wore a similar pseudo-civilian uniform. "Lieutenant Hayes?" he asked, extending his hand. "I'm Captain Daniel Wright. Welcome to Ceres." His handshake was firm. Amanda recognized the name immediately. Daniel Wright had been a rising star in Earth's defense forces before suddenly accepting a research position off-world 2 years ago. Now she knew why. "Thank you, sir. Happy to be here." "Walk with me," he said, leading her through crowded corridors. People of all types moved about their business. Real miners and researchers mixed with others who, like her, were probably military personnel in disguise. They entered a lift, and Captain Wright pressed his palm against a hidden scanner beneath the normal control panel. The doors closed and the lift began to descend rather than rising as Amanda had expected. "You were chosen personally by Admiral Reeves," Wright said as they dropped deeper into the asteroid. "Your work on adaptive weapon systems caught her attention." "I was just doing my job, sir." "Well, your job is about to get a lot more interesting." The lift slowed to a stop, and the doors opened to reveal a massive cavern carved into the heart of Ceres. Amanda gasped. The space was enormous, at least a kilometer across and filled with activity. And dominating the center was a ship unlike anything she had ever seen. "Lieutenant Hayes, meet the NCS Defiance," Captain Wright said with unmistakable pride in his voice. The vessel was sleek and beautiful, roughly 400 meters long with smooth lines that reminded Amanda more of a dolphin than a traditional spacecraft. Its hull was a strange, shifting gray material that seemed to ripple slightly as she watched. "What am I looking at, sir?" she asked, though she already suspected the answer. "Officially, a deep space rescue and exploration vehicle." Wright smiled. "Unofficially, the most advanced warship humans have ever built." They walked along a catwalk that brought them closer to the ship. Workers swarmed around it, making final adjustments to various systems. "But the Treaty of Luna," Amanda began, "forbids us from building warships," Wright finished for her. "That's why on paper, the Defiance isn't a warship. It's a multi-purpose rescue vessel with defensive capabilities. The hull is made of adaptive metamaterials that can reconfigure as needed." He pointed to sections of the hull. "Those smooth panels, they can open to reveal point defense systems. That bulge near the back houses a main cannon that, officially, is a debris clearing tool for rescue operations. Every weapon system is designed to be hidden or disguised as something else." Amanda shook her head in amazement. "And the Alliance doesn't know?" "The Thoraxi suspect something, which is why they've been pushing harder lately. But they don't know about this place, and they definitely don't know about the fleet." "Fleet?" Amanda's eyes widened. "There's more than one?" Wright nodded. 16 vessels in various stages of completion, hidden throughout the solar system. The Defiance is our flagship, and the first ready for full operations. He looked at her seriously. "And you're going to be our weapons officer." Later, after being shown her quarters, Amanda attended a briefing with the senior staff in a secure room deep within the station. Captain Wright stood before a holographic display showing images of various alien species, particularly the reptilian, Thoraxi. "For 50 years, Wright said, we've played by their rules, we joined their alliance, signed their treaties, and accepted their limitations on our development, all because they convinced us it was for the greater good." He flicked his hand, and the display changed to show various star systems. "But our intelligence suggests the Thoraxi have been systematically eliminating or subjugating any species they consider potential threats. They use alliance regulations as cover while they maintain military superiority." The display changed again, showing a timeline of incidents where the Thoraxi had intervened in other worlds' affairs. 3 species that were part of the alliance, when we joined, have since been reduced to protectorate status after treaty violations, similar to what they're now accusing us of. Wright continued. "Each time the pattern is the same. Accusations, sanctions, and then direct military intervention when the targeted species can't defend itself." Amanda studied the data. "They're coming for us next." Exactly. Admiral Reeves and others saw this, coming years ago. That's why Project Nightingale exists. Wright looked around the table at his officers. We're not looking for a fight, but we're not going to let humans become another conquered species in the Alliance registry. When do we launch? Asked the ship's engineer, a stocky woman named Lisa Diaz. 1 week, Wright replied. The Admiral wants us operational as soon as possible. The Thoraxi ultimatum has accelerated our timeline. As the meeting concluded, Amanda approached the tactical display and studied the Thoraxi fleet positions that intelligence had mapped. Their ships were moving into position near key human outposts and colonies. Notice anything? Wright asked. Coming to stand beside her, Amanda nodded. They're positioning for containment. Classic encirclement strategy. If they decide to move against us, they want to control all approach vectors to Earth and our major colonies. Good eye. That's why. We need you on the Defiance. Wright shut down the display. Get some rest, Lieutenant. Training starts at 600 tomorrow. 5 days later, Amanda stood at her station on the Defiance's bridge as the ship prepared for its first real space mission. The bridge was compact but efficiently designed, with workstations arranged in a semicircle around the captain's chair. All systems are green, reported Lisa Diaz from engineering. Stealth systems engaged, said Owen Miller, the operations officer. We're registering as a mining support vessel on all standard frequencies. Captain Wright settled into his command chair. Very well. Lieutenant Hayes, are our defensive systems operational? Amanda's fingers danced across her console, checking the status of weapons that technically didn't exist. Yes, sir. All systems show ready but dormant as per protocol. Good. Wright looked around at his crew, then fixed his gaze on the main view screen showing the massive doors of the hidden dock beginning to open. Let's see what this ship can do. Helm, take us out. 1/4 thrust. Our mission is a simple shakedown. Cruise beyond Alliance sensor range. The Defiance slipped out of its hiding place and into the darkness of space. A ship that wasn't supposed to exist, crewed by people officially assigned elsewhere, on a mission that no one but a select few knew about. As they cleared the asteroid belt, sensors picked up an unusual energy reading from what should have been empty space. Captain, Amanda called out, studying her readings. I'm detecting anomalous energy signatures at bearing 047 Mark 023. It's not matching any known Alliance profile. Wright frowned. That's supposed to be empty space, nothing on the charts there. The signature is massive, sir, Amanda continued, consistent with a large installation or base. Wright's eyes narrowed as he considered their options. This was supposed to be a simple test mission, not a reconnaissance run. But if there was something out there that wasn't on any official map... Helm, change course, he ordered. Let's go see what we've found. The Defiance approached the mysterious energy signature with caution. Captain Wright had ordered minimal power to their engines, and all non-essential systems shut down to reduce their detectability. On the bridge, the crew worked in tense silence. Visual, range in 30 seconds, reported Owen Miller from the operations station. Amanda Hayes kept her eyes fixed on her tactical display. The energy readings were unlike anything in their database, but they had certain patterns similar to Thoraxi. Technology, just much more powerful. All hands battle stations, Wright ordered quietly. Silent mode. The crew moved with practiced efficiency despite never having faced a real threat. Their weeks of drills were paying off. The main view screen flickered and then revealed what lay ahead. Amanda heard several crew members gasp. A massive structure floated in space, a space station easily 5 times the size of the largest Alliance facility. Around it moved dozens of ships, and all of them bore the distinctive angular design of Thoraxi vessels. That's a military installation, Wright said, stating the obvious. And it doesn't appear on any Alliance registry. Sir? Amanda said, keeping her voice steady. I count at least 30 warships. Many are larger than any Thoraxi vessel I've seen in our intelligence files. Wright's face hardened. Record everything. Full sensor sweep, passive mode only. For 20 minutes, the Defiance, hung in space gathering data on the secret Theraxi base. They observed ships coming and going, watched as what appeared to be weapons were loaded onto the larger vessels, and recorded communications traffic, though they couldn't decode it. "Sir," Miller called out suddenly, "we have a Theraxi patrol. Craft on an intercept course. They may have detected us." "Time to go," Wright said immediately. "Helm, get us out of here. Best speed back to Ceres." The Defiance turned and accelerated away from the base. For several tense minutes they watched, as the patrol craft followed them and then, to their relief, turned back. "They probably thought we were just space debris," Lisa Diaz suggested. Wright nodded. "Let's hope so. Either way, Admiral Reeves needs to see this immediately." Back at Ceres Station, Admiral Catherine Reeves studied the data with a grim expression. Captain Wright, Lieutenant Hayes, and the other senior officers of the Defiance stood around the secure briefing room. "This confirms our worst fears," Reeves said finally. "The Theraxi aren't just enforcing the treaty, they're preparing for war." "But why?" asked Diaz. "We've been compliant for 50 years. Reeves brought up a star chart. "Because we're expanding too quickly. Our colony ships are faster and more efficient than any other species in the Alliance. At current rates, we'll have more settled worlds than the Theraxi within 30 years. They see us as a long-term threat to their dominance, so the accusations about our research facilities," Wright began. "Just an excuse," Reeves finished. "They need a reason to justify military action against us." Amanda studied the images of the massive warships at the secret base. "With vessels like those, they could overwhelm our colonies one by one, and under the treaty we have nothing that could stop them." "Nothing they know about," Reeves corrected, a hint of steel in her voice. "The Defiance and her sister ships are ready, but we can't reveal them without proving we've violated the treaty." Wright leaned forward. "So we need the Theraxi to strike first." A somber silence fell over the room as the implication sank in. They needed to be attacked before they could defend themselves. "I've already sent Commander Morris the data," Reeves said. "He'll try to use diplomatic channels to expose the Theraxi plans, but I don't expect the Alliance Council to act in time." 3 weeks later, Amanda was running a diagnostic on the Defiance's weapon systems when alarms blared throughout the ship. "All hands to battle stations," Wright's voice came over the comm. "This is not a drill. Lieutenant Hayes to the bridge immediately." When Amanda arrived, the bridge was already fully staffed. On the main screen was a grim-faced Admiral Reeves. "The Theraxi have made their move," Reeves said without preamble. "A battle group has arrived at Proxima Centauri B, claiming to conduct a treaty compliance inspection of our colony there. When the colonial authorities requested the standard 48-hour notice period, the Theraxi opened fire. They've destroyed the colony's defensive satellites and communications array." Amanda felt her heart rate increase. Proxima Centauri was Earth's first extrasolar colony, home to over 50,000 people. "Casualties?" Wright asked, his voice tight. "Unknown. We received an emergency quantum message before communications were cut. The colonial governor is attempting to evacuate civilians to the emergency shelters." Reeves took a deep breath. "I've activated Protocol Lazarus. All ships of the fleet are to deploy immediately." Wright nodded grimly. "And our mission? The Defiance will lead a response force to Proxima. Your official designation is Humanitarian Relief Convoy. You are not to reveal your military capabilities, unless directly fired upon by Theraxi forces." "Understood," Wright said. "And if they do fire on us?" Admiral Reeves's expression was cold. "Then you are authorized to demonstrate precisely what the NCS Defiance was built to do." Within hours, the Defiance and 3 other ships from humanity's secret fleet were underway, using the recently developed jump drive technology that the Alliance thought was still theoretical for humans. On the bridge, Amanda prepared the ship's weapon systems while trying not to think about the colony under attack. Her older brother was stationed there as a terraforming engineer. She hadn't heard from him in months. "Lieutenant," Wright said, noticing her distraction. "Are you all right?" "My brother Paul is on Proxima, sir," she admitted. Wright placed a hand, briefly, on her shoulder. "Then we have even more reason to get there quickly, but I need you focused." "Yes, sir," she said, straightening. Weapons are prepped but remaining in concealed configuration per Protocol Lazarus. The small fleet of human ships emerged from jump space near Proxima Centauri 3 days later. From their position at the edge of the system, they could see 5 Thraxi warships in orbit around the human colony world. Scans show the Thraxi have landed ground forces, Miller reported. The main settlement is under occupation, but I'm detecting human life signs scattered throughout the wilderness areas and in the underground shelters. They're following the contingency plans, Wright noted with approval. The colonists were prepared for this. Thraxi command ship is hailing us, the communications officer announced. Wright nodded. On screen, a Thraxi commander appeared, his scaled face showing contempt. Unidentified human vessels, you are entering a restricted military zone. State your purpose or be fired upon. Wright's expression was perfectly neutral. This is Captain Daniel Wright of the Earth Relief Convoy. We're here to provide humanitarian assistance to our colony, as is our right under Alliance Charter. No relief ships are authorized at this time, the Thraxi commander said. Your colony is under inspection for treaty violations. Depart immediately. I'm afraid we can't do that, Wright replied calmly. We have supplies and medical personnel. For the colonists, Alliance regulations permit humanitarian access even during military operations. The Thraxi's eyes narrowed. Your vessels will submit to boarding and inspection before approaching the planet. Wright glanced at Amanda, giving her a subtle nod. She began the sequence that would bring their weapons to immediate readiness beneath the ship's seemingly civilian exterior. We're just a humanitarian relief convoy, Wright told the Thraxi commander, his voice friendly but firm. Treaty compliant, of course. On Amanda's console, a red light began flashing. Sir, they're charging weapons, she reported. Wright's friendly expression didn't change as he looked at the Thraxi commander. Are you really sure you want to fire on an unarmed relief mission? What would the Alliance Council say? The Alliance Council will hear only what we tell them, the Thraxi commander snarled, and cut the transmission. All ships, Wright ordered, his voice now hard as steel. Defensive configurations, prepare to engage. Amanda pressed the final sequence. Across the hull of the Defiance and her sister ships, panels slid open, revealing weapon ports. Defensive shields hummed to life. The ships that had approached in a loose civilian formation smoothly shifted to a combat pattern. Thraxi vessels. Firing, Miller called out. Return fire, Wright ordered calmly. Show them what humanity has been building. The space around Proxima Centauri lit up with weapons fire. The Thraxi ships, confident in their superior technology, had fired first. They expected to quickly destroy what they thought were disguised civilian vessels. They were wrong. Lieutenant Amanda Hayes watched her tactical display as the Defiance's weapons found their targets with deadly accuracy. The Secret Fleet's ships moved with a coordination that surprised even her, executing maneuvers that the crews had only ever practiced in simulation. Direct hit on the Thraxi command ship's propulsion systems, she reported, keeping her voice steady despite the chaos around them. They're disabled, but weapons remain online. Captain Wright nodded, his face illuminated by the flashes of combat visible through the main view screen. Focus fire on their weapons arrays. I want that ship intact. The 4 human vessels danced around their larger opponents, using speed and maneuverability to avoid the worst of the Thraxi firepower. The Defiance shuddered as enemy fire struck. Its shields holding at 70%, Miller called out from operations. The Pittsburgh and Resolute report minor damage, the communications officer added. The Jefferson has taken a direct hit but is still operational. Wright's eyes never left the tactical display. Bring us around for another pass on the command. Ship, all vessels concentrate fire. The 4 human ships turned as one and unleashed a coordinated barrage on the Thraxi flagship. Its shields flickered and failed under the assault. Their weapons are offline, Amanda reported with satisfaction. The other Thraxi vessels are breaking formation. 2 of the enemy ships were already retreating from the battle, while a third burned from multiple hull breaches. The remaining vessel continued to fight, firing desperately at the human ships that seemed to anticipate its every move. "The colonial governor is hailing us," the communications officer said. "On screen," Wright ordered. The face of Governor Frank Nelson appeared, looking tired but determined. "Captain Wright, your arrival was unexpected, but very welcome. Governor, what's your situation on the ground? The Thraxi have troops in the main settlement, but most of our people made it to the shelters or the outback camps. We're holding our own." Nelson's eyes widened as he saw something off-screen. "Wait, the Thraxi ground forces are pulling back to their shuttles. They're retreating." Wright allowed himself a small smile. "They just lost their orbital support, Governor. Hold tight. We'll have teams down to assist you soon." As the battle concluded, Amanda watched the remaining Thraxi vessel jump away. The others had been disabled or destroyed. For the first time in 50 years, humans had directly engaged Thraxi forces, and won decisively. "Begin rescue operations," Wright ordered, "and secure the Thraxi command ship. I want their data cores intact." On the Alliance Central Station, Commander Ethan Morris worked frantically with Dr. Olivia Sutton. News of the battle at Proxima Centauri had reached them through emergency channels, and the station was in chaos. "The Thraxi ambassador is already calling for sanctions against Earth," Olivia said, her face pale with worry. "He's claiming we used illegal warships in violation of the treaty." Ethan nodded grimly. "And we did. But we need to control the narrative here." He pulled up the data they had been gathering for months. "We have evidence of the Thraxi's secret military buildup, and now we have proof they attacked a peaceful colony without provocation." "Will it be enough?" Olivia asked. "The Thraxi control 3 votes on the council. We don't need to win a vote. We just need to create enough doubt to prevent immediate action against Earth." Ethan pulled up a secure communication channel. "I need to speak with Ambassador Pearson immediately." Hours later, the Alliance Council convened an emergency session. The chamber was tense, with representatives from all species present. The Thraxi, Ambassador Zorak, stood before the council, his rage barely contained. "The humans have revealed their true nature," he declared, his voice echoing through the chamber. "They have built warships in secret, violating the most fundamental terms of the Treaty of Luna. We demand immediate sanctions and a peacekeeping fleet to occupy Earth's colonies." Ambassador Pearson rose next. His expression was calm, but Ethan could see the tension in his shoulders. "The Thraxi accusations are a shameful attempt to hide their own aggression," Pearson said. "They attacked our colony at Proxima Centauri, without provocation, destroying civilian communications arrays and killing innocent people. With illegal warships," Zorak interrupted. "With multi-purpose defense and rescue craft," Pearson corrected smoothly. "If you examine the Treaty of Luna carefully, you'll find our vessels are classified as multi-purpose craft with limited protective capabilities. They are fully compliant with the technical specifications outlined in Section 7, Paragraph 12. The Vox chairperson tilted her head. "Is this true, Ambassador Zorak? Did your forces fire first?" "We were conducting a legitimate inspection, without providing the required notice period," Pearson pointed out, "in violation of Alliance regulations." As the debate continued, Ethan noticed something strange. The representatives from 3 species, the Iltheri, Vox, and Meridian, were exchanging glances. Then, the Iltheri ambassador raised a hand to speak. "The council recognizes Ambassador Kaleem of the Iltheri Confederation," the chairperson announced. The 4 armed Iltheri rose. "In light of these events, the Iltheri wish to share evidence we have been gathering for nearly a century. Evidence of Thraxi aggression and manipulation of Alliance regulations to maintain military superiority." Zorak's yellow eyes widened, in shock. "This is outrageous. The Iltheri have no such evidence." "Actually, we do," Kaleem said quietly, "as do the Vox and the Meridians. We have been sharing information in secret because we feared exactly this kind of Thraxi response." The chamber erupted in voices as more representatives stood to speak. Ethan caught Olivia's eye across the room and nodded slightly. Their plan was working. By bringing Earth's evidence forward, they had created an opening for other species to reveal their own concerns about Thraxi dominance. Meanwhile, Aboard the Defiance, Amanda supervised the download of data from the captured Thraxi command ship. The information they were finding was disturbing. Detailed plans for attacks on not just human colonies, but settlements of other Alliance species as well. "Captain," she called Wright over, pointing to a particular file. "You need to see this." Wright studied the screen, his expression growing darker. "Are these verified?" "Yes, sir. The Thraxi have been developing some kind of superweapon, something they call the Final Solution device. The specifications are frightening." Wright straightened. "Download everything. We need to get this to Admiral Reeves immediately." He paused, looking at her seriously. "And Lieutenant, have you had any word about your brother?" Amanda's face brightened slightly. "Yes, sir. He's alive, heading a resistance cell in the northern mountains." "Good," Wright said with genuine relief. "Now I have a new mission for us, one that could end this conflict before it truly begins." As Amanda waited for his orders, she realized that the battle for humanity's place in the galaxy was just beginning. The Thraxi had underestimated humans once. They wouldn't make that mistake again, but neither would humanity be caught unprepared. Not anymore. 2 weeks after the Battle of Proxima Centauri, representatives from all Alliance species gathered for a special tribunal. The Grand Chamber on Alliance Central Station was filled to capacity. At the center stood 2 groups. The Thraxi delegation, led by Supreme Commander Krull, who had arrived to take control of the situation, and the human representatives led by Ambassador Pearson. Commander Ethan Morris stood behind the ambassador, his face carefully neutral despite the tension in the room. Beside him, Dr. Olivia Sutton organized their evidence on a datapad. "This tribunal will now come to order," announced the Vox chairperson. "We are here to address serious allegations of treaty violations and military aggression." Supreme Commander Krull stepped forward, his massive frame dwarfing the human representatives. "The facts are clear. Humans built warships in violation of the Treaty of Luna. They attacked our inspection vessels without provocation. They must be punished and their military capabilities dismantled." Ambassador Pearson remained calm. "We reject these claims entirely. Our vessels were responding to an unprovoked Thraxi attack on a civilian colony. As for their classification, a meaningless technicality," Krull interrupted. "Actually," Pearson continued smoothly, "the technical specifications of our vessels comply fully with treaty requirements. They are multi-purpose craft with defensive capabilities below the threshold specified in the treaty." The debate continued for hours, with evidence presented from both sides. Ethan watched as the other Alliance representatives listened carefully, many clearly troubled by what they were hearing. Then the chamber doors opened and Captain Daniel Wright entered with Lieutenant Amanda Hayes beside him. They carried a data core, the one from the captured Thraxi command ship. "The Council recognizes Captain Wright of Earth's Defense Forces," the chairperson said. Wright stepped to the center of the chamber. "Honored representatives, we have recovered evidence that changes everything." He nodded to Amanda, who connected the data core to the chamber's main display system. Images appeared on the screens around the room. Detailed plans for a massive weapon platform, star charts with targeted systems marked for pacification, and communications between Thraxi commanders discussing the elimination of competitor species. "This data core," Wright explained, "contains irrefutable proof that the Thraxi have been developing planet-killing weapons in violation of multiple Alliance treaties. They plan to eliminate any species they considered a potential rival, starting with humans, but not ending with us." Gasps and murmurs filled the chamber. Supreme Commander Krull's scales darkened with rage. "This is fabricated," he roared. "Human deception." Amanda stepped forward. "The authentication codes are intact. This came directly from your command ship. Supreme Commander, your own security protocols verify its authenticity." As the evidence continued to appear on screen, the Ilthiri ambassador rose. "This confirms what we have suspected for generations. The Thraxi have manipulated Alliance laws to maintain dominance while preparing to eliminate any who might challenge them." More representatives stood, adding their voices to the growing consensus. The Thoraxi had been caught in their own deception. Supreme Commander Krall looked around the chamber, seeing his support evaporating. His hand moved to a communicator on his wrist. "You fools," he snarled. "You think your words matter? The Thoraxi Empire ruled the stars before your ancestors crawled from the mud." He pressed a button on his wrist device. "All Thoraxi forces, execute Operation Dominance now." Alarms blared throughout the station. The Vox chairperson rushed to a console. "Multiple Thoraxi warships are attacking Alliance installations. They're attempting to seize control of key defensive systems." Chaos erupted in the chamber. Ethan grabbed Olivia's arm, pulling her toward a communication terminal. "We need to warn Earth." But Ambassador Pearson was already at a secure channel, speaking rapidly. "Admiral Reeves, the Thoraxi have launched their coup. Activate all assets immediately." Across Alliance space, Thoraxi warships moved against key installations, expecting to find them defenseless. Instead, they encountered resistance from an unexpected source. Human vessels that had been positioned throughout Alliance territory, disguised as everything from mining platforms to luxury cruise liners. Admiral Catherine Reeves stood in the command center on Earth, watching as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. "All ships, this is Admiral Reeves. Execute Protocol Ascendant. I repeat, execute Protocol Ascendant." On board the Defiance, now repaired and upgraded after the Battle of Proxima Centauri, Captain Wright and Lieutenant Hayes led their ship toward the massive Thoraxi flagship that had just arrived at Alliance Prime, the capital world of the Alliance. "All hands battle stations," Wright ordered. "This ends today." The Defiance was not alone. Dozens of human ships converged on Alliance Prime, joined by vessels from the Iltheri, Vox, and other Alliance species, who had secretly prepared their own defenses. "Sir," Amanda reported from Tactical, "I'm reading over 100 human ships in the system. That's far more than the 16 vessels in Project Nightingale." Wright smiled grimly. "Project Nightingale was just the beginning, Lieutenant. Admiral Reeves has been hiding ships in plain sight for years, disguised as mining platforms, colony supply vessels, even luxury cruise liners." The Battle of Alliance Prime became the largest space conflict in galactic history. The Thoraxi fought with guile, fury, and advanced weapons, but they faced a united alliance for the first time, with humanity's non-warships leading the charge. On the Thoraxi flagship, Supreme Commander Krall watched in disbelief as his forces were systematically outmaneuvered and defeated. "Impossible," he growled. "Humans are primitives. They cannot have built such a fleet." A proximity alarm blared. On his viewscreen, Krall saw the Defiance approaching, leading a formation of smaller craft in an attack run. "Target that human ship," he ordered. "Full power to forward batteries." But before his crew could comply, precision strikes from the Defiance disabled the flagship's weapons and propulsion systems without destroying the vessel. "This is Captain Daniel Wright of the Earth vessel Defiance," came a transmission. "Your fleet is defeated, Supreme Commander. Surrender now." 3 hours later, in the same chamber where the tribunal had begun, a very different meeting took place. Supreme Commander Krall, now a prisoner, stood before the Alliance Council as the representatives voted unanimously to dissolve the Treaty of Luna. In its place, they established the Mutual Defense Accord, acknowledging the right of all species to maintain defensive capabilities while establishing new transparency protocols. Humanity proved its ingenuity today, the Vox chairperson declared, and its commitment to protecting Alliance stability. "We hereby grant Earth a permanent seat on the reformed Alliance Security Council." 6 months later, Amanda Hayes stood on the bridge of her own ship, the NCS Intrepid. Now a captain herself, she watched Earth grow smaller in the viewscreen as her vessel led a joint human-alien expedition beyond Alliance space. "Captain Hayes," her first officer asked, "do you ever wonder what would have happened if we hadn't built our fleet in secret?" Amanda thought of her brother Paul, now safely back at his work on Proxima B. She thought of the battles they had fought, the lives lost and saved. She thought of how close the galaxy had come to Thoraxi domination. "The universe doesn't reward those who follow unjust rules," she said finally. It rewards those clever enough to find a better way forward. As the Intrepid jumped to faster-than-light speed, Amanda felt a sense of pride. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged stronger. They had been forbidden to build warships, and done it anyway. And in doing so, they had changed the course of galactic history. Not bad for a young species. From a small blue planet,